The resignation letter I never wrote *** 3 years ago. I found out I'd resigned from my job. The strange part, I never wrote a resignation letter. I never said a single word about leaving. I found out from a security guard who wouldn't let me back into the building, holding a printed email with my name on it and a signature that wasn't mine. It took me 2 years to prove that letter was fake. And when I finally did, the person who forged it wasn't just fired. She was arrested. Let me tell you how it happened. Chapter 1 ***. My name is Farah Nkemelu. 4 years ago, I was a senior compliance analyst at a regional insurance company called Baystone Mutual, based just outside Atlanta. Compliance work isn't glamorous. Nobody makes a movie about the person who catches errors in policy documentation before they turn into six-figure lawsuits. But it matters, and I was good at it. My direct manager was a woman named Colette Voss, director of operations. Colette had a reputation in the office, sharp, controlling, and if you got on her bad side, someone who never forgot it. For the first year, I stayed on Colette's good side without even trying. I did my job well, I didn't cause friction, and Colette, in turn, mostly left me alone. That changed the day I found the discrepancy. I was reviewing a batch of commercial property policies for a routine quarterly audit when I noticed a pattern. A specific set of claims, all processed through the same regional office, all approved just above the threshold that would normally trigger a secondary review. Not illegal on its own, but statistically unlikely, unless someone was deliberately structuring the claims to avoid oversight. I brought it to Colette first, the way I was supposed to. "Interesting," she said, barely looking up from her screen. "Send me the file. I'll take a look." I sent the file. I never heard about it again. 3 weeks later, at the company's quarterly review meeting, a name I didn't recognize, a regional claims manager named Tobias Reyes, was mentioned in passing as having significantly improved regional processing efficiency. I didn't think much of it at the time. I had no reason to connect it to my discrepancy report. Not yet. If you've ever flagged something at work and watched it quietly disappear, you already know this feeling. Comment below. I want to see how common this actually is. Chapter 2 6 months later, Baystone Mutual brought in an external auditing firm for a standard annual compliance review. Routine. Nothing unusual. Required by state insurance regulators every year. I was asked to prepare supporting documentation for several departments, including the regional office I'd flagged months earlier. As I pulled the files together, I noticed something odd. The specific claims batch I'd originally flagged wasn't in the system the way I remembered it. Some of the flagged entries had been reclassified under a different review category, one that made the earlier statistical pattern disappear entirely. I wasn't imagining it. I had my own notes from the original review, saved separately exactly for situations like this. The numbers in the system no longer matched my notes. I brought this to Colette a second time, more directly this time. "Colette, I think there's been some reclassification on the Reyes claims batch since my original report. The numbers don't match what I originally flagged." Colette's expression didn't change much, but something in her posture did. A stiffness. "I handled that already, Farah. It was a clerical issue. Nothing to worry about. I'd like to document that it was reviewed and resolved just for my own audit trail," I said. "Standard practice." "Send you the resolution memo," Colette said. She never did. I let it go for another month, telling myself I was being overly cautious, that compliance work makes you paranoid by nature. Then, during the external audit itself, one of the outside auditors, a calm, methodical man named Dr. Whitfield, pulled me aside privately. "Ms. Nkemelu, I noticed some inconsistencies in the regional claims data. Your name is on the original flagging documentation from earlier this year. Can you walk me through what happened after you submitted that report?" I told him everything. Every detail I remembered, every date, every conversation with Colette. Dr. Whitfield made careful notes and thanked me. "This is helpful. We'll be including this in our full report to the board." I didn't know it yet, but I had just made myself a problem for someone with a lot more to lose than I did. Chapter break. Remember this moment, because it's the hinge point of everything that happens next. I told the truth to the wrong person's benefit, without realizing how far someone would go to make sure that truth never reached the board. Chapter 3 2 weeks after my conversation with Dr. Whitfield, I arrived at the office on a Tuesday morning to find my badge wouldn't scan at the entrance. I assumed it was a technical glitch. I called the front desk. The security guard, a man named Reggie who'd worked the front desk for years and always greeted me by name, looked uncomfortable when he came out to meet me. "Farah, I'm sorry. I was told you're not authorized to enter the building anymore." "Why?" Reggie hesitated, then showed me a printed email on his clipboard. It was addressed from HR to building security, dated the previous afternoon, confirming that, per Farah Nkemelu's resignation, effective immediately, building access should be revoked. I stared at that email like it was written in a language I didn't understand. "I never resigned," I said. "I never sent anything like this." "I'm just following what I was given," Reggie said apologetically. "I'd call HR directly if I were you." I called HR from the parking lot, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone steady. I got a representative named Marcus, who pulled up my file and confirmed, with visible confusion of his own, that a resignation letter had indeed been received from my company email address 4 days earlier, along with an email from Colette Voss confirming acceptance of my resignation and initiating standard offboarding procedures. "Can you send me that letter?" I asked. "I need to see it." Marcus forwarded it to my personal email while I sat in that parking lot. I read it twice before I fully processed what I was looking at. It was written in my voice. Not perfectly, but close enough that anyone who didn't know me personally would believe I'd written it. It cited personal reasons and thanked the company for the opportunity, standard resignation language. And at the bottom, a digital signature with my name. I never wrote a single word of it. Asterisk if you've ever had something with your name on it that you never actually said or did, comment below. Because what happened to me next is the part that made me question everything about how safe any of us actually are at our jobs. Chapter 4, I spent the next several weeks trying to prove a negative, that I hadn't done something. It's a strange kind of exhausting, trying to prove you didn't write an email. HR was polite but unhelpful. The resignation email had come from my company account, using my company credentials, at 11:20 p.m. on a Thursday night, a time I could prove, through my phone's location history, that I was at my sister's birthday dinner with 14 witnesses and a group photo timestamped at 11:15 p.m., 40 minutes from the office. I brought this alibi to HR directly. The representative I spoke with, a woman I hadn't dealt with before named Denise, looked at my evidence carefully. "This is compelling, Ms. Nkemelu. I'll escalate this internally." Weeks passed. I heard nothing. I filed for unemployment, which was denied initially because the state system showed I'd voluntarily resigned. I had to appeal, submitting the same alibi evidence, which took another 6 weeks to process while I had no income at all. I later learned, from a former coworker who reached out privately, worried about me, that Colette had told the rest of the department I'd left abruptly, for personal reasons, possibly related to some performance concerns that had been building. A soft, deniable version of a lie, spread quietly enough that nobody thought to question it directly. I didn't understand why Colette would go this far. Firing me quietly would have been one thing. Forging an entire resignation letter, using my company credentials at a time she likely knew I'd have an alibi for, was reckless in a way that didn't make sense. Unless she was in a position where reckless was still safer than the alternative. Second twist coming in the next chapter. If this story's got you hooked, hit subscribe now, because it's about to get a lot more complicated. Chapter 5 it took almost a year, but I eventually pieced together the full picture, mostly through a private investigator I hired using what was left of my savings. And partly through a Baystone employee who quietly reached out to me on LinkedIn after seeing a post I'd made about my situation. The raise claims batch I'd originally flagged wasn't just a clerical irregularity. Tobias Reyes, the regional claims manager whose efficiency improvements had been praised at that quarterly meeting, had been structuring claims specifically to avoid secondary review and splitting the resulting bonuses with Colette Voss, who oversaw the department that would have caught it. Over roughly 2 years, the two of them had funneled an estimated $1.1 million in improperly approved claims through the regional office, taking a cut through a shell consulting arrangement Reyes had set up on the side. My original discrepancy report, the one I'd flagged months before any of this came to light publicly, was the first real internal evidence that could have exposed the entire scheme if it had reached the board through proper channels. Colette had buried that report the first time. When the external auditors started asking questions directly, and Dr. Whitfield specifically named me as the source of the original flag, Colette panicked. She couldn't fire me outright without triggering a formal review process that would have required documentation that might have surfaced the original discrepancy report and her failure to act on it. But if I resigned, quietly, with no formal review required, the entire situation could disappear before the auditors dug any deeper into why I'd been let go. So she forged the letter. Late at night, using credentials she had legitimate administrative access to as a director, timed for a night she likely assumed I had no way of proving otherwise, she got the timing of my alibi wrong. That mistake became the loose thread that eventually unraveled everything. If you saw that coming, let me know in the comments. And if you didn't, we're not even at the confrontation yet. Chapter SIX armed with the private investigator's findings and a growing paper trail, I did something I probably should have done much earlier. I contacted the State Insurance Regulatory Board directly, along with the original external auditing firm, and requested a formal review of my termination in connection with the ongoing compliance investigation into the Ray's claims batch. Dr. Whitfield, the auditor who'd first pulled me aside, remembered me immediately. MS. Nkemelu, I always found your termination suspicious, given the timing relative to our audit, he said. I flagged it internally at the time, but it wasn't within our scope to investigate further. I'm glad you're pursuing this. With his support, and my documented alibi, the regulatory board formally reopened its investigation into Baystone Mutual's claims practices, expanding it to include the circumstances of my termination. It took another 8 months of interviews, subpoenaed records, and forensic email analysis before the full picture became undeniable. Digital forensics confirmed the resignation email had been sent from a company laptop, physically checked out to Colette Voss on the night in question, using a spoofed sender field that made it appear to come from my account. A technique that, while not simple, wasn't beyond the capabilities of someone with administrative IT privileges, which Colette had as a director. Once the forensic evidence was solid, the State Regulatory Board referred the entire case, both the claims fraud and the forged resignation, to the district attorney's office. I got the call on a Tuesday afternoon, almost 2 years after I'd stood in that parking lot reading an email I never wrote. MS. Nkemelu, this is Assistant District Attorney Kowalski's office. We wanted to inform you that charges have been filed against Colette Voss and Tobias Reyes, including fraud, forgery, and identity-related offenses connected to your termination. I sat down on my kitchen floor and cried for the first time in almost 2 years. This is the part of the story that means the most to me, and I want to be honest with you about why. It's not really about the money, or even the justice, as much as it is about finally having proof, official, undeniable proof, that I wasn't losing my mind. If you've ever needed that kind of proof for something in your own life, drop a comment. I think a lot of us carry that quietly. Chapter 7. The trial took another year to reach resolution. I testified, along with Dr. Whitfield, the forensic IT analyst, and 2 other former Baystone employees who'd noticed irregularities in the regional office over the years, but like me, had been quietly pushed out or reassigned before they could raise formal concerns. Colette Voss ultimately pleaded guilty to reduced charges in exchange for testimony against Tobias Reyes, who fought the charges longer, but was eventually convicted on multiple counts related to the claims fraud scheme. Colette received 18 months, with the forgery charge weighted heavily in sentencing, specifically because of how deliberately it had been used to obstruct a legitimate compliance investigation. Reyes received a longer sentence, given the larger financial scope of his direct involvement. Baystone Mutual, facing significant regulatory penalties and reputational damage, restructured its entire compliance department. I was contacted, almost apologetically, by the company's new chief compliance officer, a woman brought in specifically to rebuild the department's credibility. MS. Nkemelu, I know this is an unusual request given everything that's happened, but I'd like to formally offer you a position leading our new internal audit function. We want someone who's proven, beyond any doubt, that they'll flag problems even when it's inconvenient for the people above them. I sat with that offer for a long time. Asterisk, if you were me, would you go back? I genuinely don't know how I feel about this one, and I want to hear what you do. Comment below, because we're almost at the end. Asterisk, Chapter 8, Closing asterisk. I didn't go back to Baystone Mutual. Not because I couldn't have. I think, in some ways, walking back through those doors as the person who'd been proven right might have felt satisfying in the short term. But I'd spent 2 years fighting to prove I hadn't done something wrong, and by the end of it, I didn't want my career defined by that building anymore. Instead, I took a position at a smaller regional insurer, in a role almost identical to my old one, at a company that, ironically, now uses my situation, anonymized, as a case study in their internal ethics training about the importance of protecting employees who raise compliance concerns. I think about that parking lot a lot. Reading an email I never wrote, trying to understand how someone could take something as fundamental as my own voice and use it against me. It took almost 2 years to get the truth back. Not everyone gets that chance. Some people carry a lie like that for the rest of their careers, never able to fully clear their name. If there's one thing I want you to take from this story, it's this: keep your own records. Save your own notes, your own timestamps, your own alibis, even when you think you'll never need them. I only had a case at all because I happened to save a set of notes I technically didn't need to save, and because I happened to be at my sister's birthday dinner with a time-stamped photo that night. You never know which ordinary detail is going to end up being the thing that saves you. Asterisk, if this story hit you, hit subscribe. I've got a lot more like it coming every week. And tell me honestly, would you have gone back to Baystone if they'd offered you that role? I read every single comment, and I genuinely want to know. Asterisk, see you in the next one. Asterisk.